All right, this is Unit 3, Complex Numbers, Powers of I, and Multiply. So by popular demand, I'm going to try and shorten this as much as I can. Okay, just want you to watch it. So here we go. Take a few minutes, pause it, and do these three. Okay? When you come back, the answers will be done and worked out. If you need to pause it and look how it's done, or if you have any questions, ask tomorrow. All right, we're back. These are the answers to 1 and 3. Just notice this is a monomial. So you can just square the 3 and the 5, and then reduce and get 45. This one, you multiply exponents, so 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, and then 3 to the third is 27. And then over here, this is a binomial, so you either have to double distribute or do the box method, reduce, and combine like terms. All right? So it's important you remember that stuff to do today's work. So remember that the square root of -1 is what I is. Okay? So these 4 powers of I are the most important 4. These are the 4 that tell you what any exponent, what I to any exponent is going to be, and you'll see why in a minute. So just going through these, I to the 0 power is 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. I to the first power is just itself, because anything to the first power is itself. Now I squared, as it starts getting fun, for me I guess, whenever you square a radical, remember the radical goes away, so you're simply left with -1. Then I to the third, if you remember your rules of exponents, I to the third is the same as saying I squared times I to the first, because that's the same as I to the third. 2 plus 1 is 3, and so on. So if you remember that I squared, this is I squared right here, it's -1. Just plain old I is I, so it's -I. So those are your 4 basic powers of I. 1, I, -1, -I. And you can actually do this in your calculator. If you hit the second button and the decimal point, that's your I. And then you can raise it to any exponent you want. However, if you do I to the 0, I to the first, second, third, that works. You can even move down and do I to the fourth, which you'll figure out is 1. This one is I, -1, -I. Right around here is where your calculator starts going a little nutty. But you can see the pattern. It's 1, I, -1, -I again. 1, I, -1, -I. 1, I, and so on. So you see the pattern. There's always 4 answers. Any exponent in I will always lead you to one of these 4 answers. Oh, no, that's right. Okay? So if we want to reduce, say, I to the 34th power, we simply do I to the 34th power. Since there's only 4 answers, and there's always 4 answers, you divide the exponent by 4, and you long divide. So if you forget how to long divide, you do this. You take 4. How many times does 4 go into 34? It goes 8 times. 8 times, you multiply these two together. 8 times 4 is 32. Then you subtract, you get 2. That's your new exponent. So I to the 34th is the same as I squared. Because if you think about it, you have I to the 0, I to the first, I to the second, I to the third. It's like the I circle. So your answer is going to be 1, I, -1, -I. And you can keep counting. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now you could do that, but if you get to I to the 300ths, it's going to take you a long time. But every time you go around, you went 4. So if you divide out that 4, get rid of all those, what's left over is your new exponent. So going here, try these. I can do the first one for you if you're not clear, and then try the rest of these and we'll give you the answer the same way I did before, where I'll just show you the answer. So you take 4, always 4. Any exponent of I is always divided by 4. 4 into 28, that goes 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. You subtract, you get 0. 0 is your new exponent, and I to the 0 power is 1. So you really only have to remember those first 4, but the calculator gives you those 4, so you really don't even have to remember that. So long divide and go. I'm going to stay here and do 302, but you continue and go on. I'll pause it and then show you the rest of the answers. So 302. So this one, the new exponent is 2, so it's -1. Okay, so just remembering how to long divide, you divide the 4 into the 30, you multiply those two, you get your remainder, and then that one comes down. You do it again, you just keep going. So pause it for a second, and I'll give you the answers. All right, so here are the answers. If you need to look them over more closely, just pause it and look it over more closely. So this one, 302 is -1, 115 is -I, 348 is 1, I to the 97th is I, and I to the 74th is -1. All right, moving on. If we want to multiply, that's the only thing you had to know. Everything else is just plain old multiplication again. Just remember, when you're doing these, now that you know how to simplify i's, you can do this. You can multiply any imaginary number. Just, you have to remember that that's the one that I wanted. I should never have an exponent. I knew I put it there somewhere. So when you're finished, no exponent on the I. It's either 1i, -1, -I, and you multiply that stuff in. So you just have to do the math. The math gets more complicated, and then, you know, you just have to remember, follow all your rules. So here, remember, you can't multiply that 3 in yet. You have to cube the 2, cube the I squared, power to a power you multiply, so that's a 6. So 2 to the 3rd is 8, so it's 3 times 8, I to the 6th, but you know I to the 6 is the same as I squared. That one you can just do in your calculator. In fact, you might even put that whole thing in your calculator just like that. And so that's -1, so then it's times -1, so it's -24 is your answer. Just multiply all 3 pieces together. I to the 6 is really I squared, or -1, so you just plug that in this spot right here. So 2 to the 3rd is 8, I to the 6th is -1. So this one, same idea. We do the math, we leave the I squared, it's just like x squared. I is just like x when you're dealing with it in this situation. So simply just multiply. 5 times I squared is 5I squared. I squared times -2I is -2I cubed. Yeah, in this case, you could have reduced that I squared to -1 first. It doesn't matter either way. So I squared here is -1, so that's 5 times -1, or -5. I cubed is -I, so that's -2 times -I, which is a positive 2I. And then leave it in a plus bi form, so it's -5 plus 2i, that's a plus bi form. Oh, this one I didn't leave in a plus bi form, so let's just take a second. This is the a. We don't have a b, so we just have to do plus 0i. Oops. Okay, that's all you have to do. Try these out. See if you can do them. There's a bunch of them left. I'm not going to step through all of these, but if you have any major questions, you can talk to your teacher tomorrow. But I'm going to do these, and then you can check your answers. Okay? I'm going to do this one first because this is the final really kind that you have to do. And remember, this is a binomial because there's a minus sign in between. That's how you know minus and plus sign separates your binomial. And when you're squaring a binomial, it's 2 minus 3i. 2 minus 3i, you write it twice. And then you FOIL, double distribute, whatever you got to do. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3i is negative 6i. Same deal here. And then this is a positive 9. So negative 3i times negative 3i is a positive 9i squared. Okay, remember, I can never have an exponent. So there's an exponent right here. You have to remember, I squared is the most common one that we use. It's negative 1. So it's 9 times negative 1, which is negative 9. So combine your like terms. We want to leave it in a plus bi form. So that means the numbers should go first. So it's negative 9 plus 4, which is negative 5. And then these two guys added together is a negative 12i. So that's the part with the I always has to go second. That's a plus bi form. That's all it is. Try this one out. This one's impressive, but you have to square first before you distribute in. So you got to do this part first before you multiply that 2i through. So try it out on your own, pause it, and I'll show you the answer in a minute. All right, here, so this is the answer here. The answer is 63 plus 32i, negative 63 plus 32i. If you have it the other way around, it's not full credit there because it has to be an A and then BI form. So you FOILed, and when you double distributed this part, and you should have gotten 16 plus 30i. Multiplied the 2i through, and then got this, and then subtracted the 3. So take a look at it, pause it if you need to look closer, ask questions tomorrow if you need it. Okay, finally these problems, you just have to try out. Do them on your own, pause, let it roll while you try it, whatever. I don't care if you ignore me, I'm good with that. But this one you do have to be careful. It says multiply 2 minus 7i by its conjugate, and remember we do have to leave it in a plus bi form. So the conjugate is where you change the middle sign. So 2 minus 7i is that. So we have to multiply that times its conjugate, which is 2 plus 7i. And then you just, double distribute and you're good to go. So try that out, and we'll come back in just a second. Okay, this one, when you finish it, this one should be 11. You should just get 11, but since you need to leave it in a plus bi form, you have to put that 0i right there. All right, this next one, when you do this one, this is not a binomial, but remember you have to do this little section first before you can multiply through. Order of operations, PEMDAS states that you have to do this exponent here first before you can multiply that negative 2 through. All right, try it out. So you may want to take a look at this one a little closer. When you do this one, you raise negative 2 to the 4th power. You multiply the exponents here to get to the 12th. I need to figure out what I to the 12th is because I can't have exponents. You divide the 4 into the 12. It goes 3 times, so you get 0 as your new exponent, and I to the 0 is 1. Multiply the 3 together, and you're good. Now this is just evaluating. Can you plug these in and do the math? So try these out and then come back and see if you can figure, see if you got the same answer. So for this one, you had to plug that 3 minus I in for x in both spots. So you had to square it. And when you squared it, you got 8 minus 6i. Just be careful here. Negative I times negative I is a positive 1i squared. Remember, I squared is negative 1, so that is negative 1, and 9 minus 1 is where we get our 8. Okay, and negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6, so that's this. And we distribute here, we get this. Combine your like terms. These negative 6i and positive 6i drop out, and we're just left with negative 12. Oh, Jesus. Excuse me. You're left with negative 10. What the hell's the eraser? There it is. Okay, I can't erase, but this should be negative 10 plus 0i. Nice job, Boris. All right, here we go. I'm sure no one's listening anyway, so it doesn't matter. So then we have this one. You want to verify that this is a solution. One route you could take is you actually do the quadratic formula or completing the square, and then one of your answers should be this, or you can simply take this and plug it into x. So negative 1 plus 2i squared plus 2 times negative 1 plus 2i plus 5 equals 0. So we're not sure yet. It's a verification. So we're like, oh, I don't know if it's equal to 0. So then you have to do the math over here and see if it's equal to 0. So try it out, see if it works. So this is what it should look like in the end. You squared it. Got negative 3 minus 4i when you squared it. Distributed that through. The negative 4i and the positive 4i canceled out. Combine these like terms, and you get negative 5 plus 5, and that's 0. When you're verifying, one side has to equal the other side. You cannot stop at this step. You have to go to the last step where one side is equal to the next side. Hope it was better. Have a nice day. Any questions, ask us tomorrow. Bye.